Hello guys, this is Mike from McProgramming.org. We've been talking a lot about classes in C++, not too in depth, and we will get a little bit more in depth, but what I wanted to show you today is how to separate your class files from your main.cpp file. And we've been putting classes up here, and so now what I want to show you is how to put it outside of this file. And the way we do that in Codeblocks is we go to File, New, Class, and then this little thingy will pop up. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to name our class right here, and I'm just going to call it dog for right now. And we have a bunch of options, okay? So if we wanted to get into inheritance, which we will, we could mess with these boxes down here. We haven't talked about destructors yet, so we can get rid of that for now. And if you come down here, it says header and implementation file should be in same folder. We do want that. It's already checked. If it's not, make sure you check it. And we're going to have two files created. A header file, which would be dog.h, and then an implementation file or a C++ source file. And now it's going to be called dog.cpp. Alright, so if everything looks like that, we can hit create, and two files have been added for us. Alright, and if you look over here, I have a headers folder and a sources folder. And the .cpp are your source folder or files, and H are your header files. And what a header file is it contains everything, pretty much your prototypes, like we talked about earlier, where you have to declare a method header or a variable. You don't define the variable yet, but you declare it and what it is and what type of data it holds. So all of that will go in this dog.h. And then in the dog.cpp file is where we actually implement all of the methods and variables that we created here, okay? And a lot of these preprocessor directives look kind of confusing. Just know that you do need this if and def dog underline h, the define dog underline h, and this end if at the end. Okay, we'll go over what those mean in a later tutorial. And right here, if you notice, it says include dog.h. And what the include preprocessor means is we want to include everything from this header file in this file here. But the thing is we need to add the IO stream and also the namespace std as well into that dog.cpp. So what we can do is come over here and copy and paste it. So just Control C if you're on a PC, and underneath here say Control V. And just to get it out the way, we can go to the main.cpp and we can include, and make sure that you put these in double quotation marks right here, dog.h. Alright, and the difference between these angle brackets and the double quote marks is the double quote marks lets the computer know that that's a user defined header file. Alright, where this one is something that came with C++. So now we can go back to dog.cpp. This is our constructor right here, and we can do something with it. For now, I'm not going to give it any values. I'll just print some out so when we create the object, we know that it works. And something else that may look weird is these double colons right here. And what that is the scope resolution operator. And what that means is when we call this dog method, or excuse me, when we call this dog function, it knows that it's from the dog class. Okay, so any other functions that we have down here, we're going to also have to have dog colon. And that will get a little bit easier to mess with further along in these tutorials. So right now what I want to do is I want to create a dog object. So I'm just going to print something out just to see that we can in fact create this. So let's just say cout dog object created. Generally, we don't really print stuff out when we create objects, but this is more for debugging purposes. So we can go back here. The constructor is a public function. We don't have anything private or protected right now. We'll go over what protected means later. That has to do more with inheritance than anything. And now we can go back here. Let's get rid of that hello world. And if you remember how to create an object, all we have to do is dog, the class name, and then we can give it a variable name, okay? And that would be our object. So I'll just call it D for now and end it with a semicolon. And doing that creates a dog object called D. That's the object name and of the class dog. And pretty much what we just did is we called the constructor without having to actually call it, because it gets called automatically, and it should print this out to the screen. So let's make sure that works real quick. And it does, dog object created. Alright, so basically what I wanted y'all to get out of this tutorial is when you start making actual big C++ projects and programs, you are going to want to take a lot of your class files out of this main file right here, because it gets pretty messy if you have a bunch, thousands of lines of different classes involved. So this makes it a lot easier to go through and fix and stuff like that. And the reason we have this dog.h is other programmers or people using your program can see what type of functions they can mess with, but they can't actually see the code, because this dog.cpp file actually gets turned into an object file. So it would end up being something like dog.o or dog.obj, and it's all binary, so you can't see what's going on, but you know what you have to mess with. So if I had get dog name or bark, something like that, I know that I can use those functions, but I may know what they do, but I don't know exactly how it was coded. So that helps people not mess with your code and mess up your program. So that is the basis behind the CPP and .h. Just remember to add your include IO stream and namespace std. This is a very basic example, so you may need more includes if this got a little bit more in depth, and we'll get into that in future tutorials. So thank you guys for watching, and please subscribe below.